You know, we spend all this time perfecting our presentations, but where does it all really get put to the test? The Q&A. That's the moment we're tackling today. We're going to talk about how to turn that high-pressure, nail-biting session from something you fear into your single greatest opportunity to show you're a leader, to build real trust, and to actually connect with your audience.
I mean, we've all felt it, right? That little knot in your stomach when a hand shoots up in the audience. You just nailed every single slide, you're feeling great. But then, like executive coach Mary Beth Hazeldine says, one question can make the whole thing just crumble. It's a universal fear, for sure, but it absolutely doesn't have to be your story.
And look, the stakes here are incredibly high. A Harvard Business Review analysis found that 67% of executives say their entire perception of a presenter can change based on how they handle questions. Just let that sink in for a second. For over 2/3 of the leaders in that room, the real test isn't the slides you spent weeks preparing, it's how you think on your feet.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The first thing we need to do is completely reframe how we think about the Q&A. This is not some afterthought, it's not an appendix to your presentation. The Q&A is the real presentation. It's a live, real-time test of your credibility, your composure, your authority. And it's in this moment that you either lock in that authority or you watch it completely evaporate.
So how in the world do you stay in control when you literally can't predict what's coming? Well, the secret isn't having every single answer memorized. It's having a system. So we're going to equip you with a simple 4-step framework. Think of it as your mental shield, something that lets you deflect any question that comes your way and handle it with total confidence. And here it is. It's called the PARA method. And trust me, this is about to become your best friend in any high-stakes moment. First P, you pause. Just breathe. Seriously, 2 or 3 seconds is all it takes. It shows you're thoughtful, and it stops you from having a knee-jerk reaction. Second, A, you acknowledge the question. Show them you heard them. Third, R, respond clearly. And finally, and this is the real pro move, A, advance. Bridge your answer right back to the one key message you need them to remember.
All right, let's talk about our first specific tactic. What happens when you just genuinely don't know the answer? For most of us, that's panic time. We try to bluff our way through it, but we're going to do the exact opposite. We are going to turn I don't know from a moment of weakness into an absolute power move. So here's the thing you have to remember. Executives, leaders, they have incredibly well-tuned BS detectors. They can sniff out a made-up answer from a mile away. So being honest when you don't know something doesn't actually hurt your credibility. It builds trust. It shows you're confident enough to be transparent, and that's huge. So how do you do it? Just follow this dead simple formula. First, state very clearly what you don't know. You know, I don't have that specific data point on me. Next, offer what you do know. But what I can tell you is that the broader trend is definitely moving up. And finally, you commit to action. I will get you that exact figure by the end of the day. See? You maintain complete authority and you actually look even more professional. Okay, our next tool is all about controlling the narrative. You know, sometimes a question isn't hostile, but it just pulls you way off topic or drags you super deep into the weeds. The bridge is a technique that really seasoned leaders use to gracefully pivot the conversation right back to their main point. The concept here is really simple. A bridge is just a transitional phrase that connects their question to the message you want to deliver. It lets you acknowledge their point so they feel heard, and then you just steer the conversation right back to the territory where you're the expert. It ensures your key ideas are the ones that actually stick. And here are a few you can literally start using tomorrow. Phrases like, that's an important consideration, and it connects directly to our main finding. Or even something like, you know, the core issue behind that question is actually, they feel totally respectful, but they put you firmly back in the driver's seat. Okay, time for the final scenario, the hostile question. And let's be really clear here. These questions aren't usually genuine requests for information. Nope, they're usually about power or an agenda, or just plain old distrust. The goal is to throw you off balance. So your strategy isn't to fight fire with fire. It's to rise above it all with unshakable clarity. Just take this real-world example of a CFO named Katrin. She got hit with a direct attack on her team's competence. Instead of getting all defensive, what did she do? She paused, took a breath, and then calmly replied, "That's a fair question. Let me address both." And in that one moment, boom, she disarmed the attack, she took back control, and she became the most authoritative person in that room. The key here is to really understand the difference between a winning and a losing strategy. The losing move is to react to the aggressive tone. That's what they want.
The winning strategy is to mentally separate their emotion from the actual content, find the real substance of the question, and respond only to that. Your composure is your greatest weapon.
So, we've covered the tactics, right? The para method, the honest I don't know, the bridge. But now let's kind of zoom out, because mastering the Q&A is ultimately about adopting a whole new mindset. It's the mindset of the calm responder, someone who sees questions not as attacks, but as genuine opportunities.
And where does that calmness come from? Preparation. Like the legendary coach Paul Bear Bryant said, it's the will to prepare that makes all the difference. Real pros don't just rehearse their slides. They sit down and they anticipate the 10 toughest questions they could possibly get, and they practice their answers out loud. Because trust me, if you don't practice in private, you'll be practicing in public.
And hey, don't forget that your composure is being communicated non-verbally before you even open your mouth. So when that tough question finally hits, hold their eye contact. Pause. Keep your posture open, no crossed arms, and keep your voice steady. These are the signals of someone who is in complete and total control.
And here is one final, absolutely crucial rule. Never, ever let the last question be the last thing the audience hears. You always have to reclaim that final moment. After you've answered, just simply say, "Thank you." To close, the one thing I really want to leave you with is this. And then you deliver your powerful, prepared closing statement. Always, always end on your terms.
So the next time you open the floor for questions, I want you to remember, this is not a final exam. It's a live conversation. It's a chance to build real trust, and it's the ultimate platform to showcase your leadership. It's not a test, it's an opportunity. So the only real question left is, how are you going to use it?